Just, so it's pretty fun when they realize that some food tastes better when it's mixed with other foods.
Yes, I think so, sometimes.
I definitely think so. So it was pretty funny. When this little boy, we did black beans and they had to cut the corn off the cob and use tomatoes and cucumbers and some cilantro and lots of lime juice and a little salt and pepper and olive oil. And he was just like, wow, I love beans. Because they were looking at me like, what? Today they had cold sesame noodle salad with tahini and fresh crunchy vegetables. Convincing that tahini was like peanut butter was really interesting.
Oh dear.
It was pretty funny. The parents are loving it. No, they're good. It's been fun. The adults did the same thing last night. So I told them
Good.
They were cooking with the adults. So it's really interesting. I have a grandchild of a person in my class who the grandmother was in my class 4 years ago. So she was excited. And then I have a child of a person and the mother was in my class last summer. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. So welcome.
Obviously they liked it.
Obviously they liked it. They did. I'm trying to do different recipes so they're not getting the same recipes at home. So it looks like we're a small group today, it being August. It is raining out here in Norway, so I thought there were more people coming on. But do you want to go around and tell us what's going on in your day and your program? We can just do some checkups. I sent out an article last week. It kind of tails on that other New York Times article about inflation and how people are dealing with it and the different ways that it is affecting the food insecure and those working in food insecurity. So I thought that was interesting. I really just found it fascinating that they had 2 articles on food pantries within a couple weeks of each other.
Right.
So anyway. So I've been teaching classes, which is exciting to start up again. And I also sent you guys all that email about the cafe club at Row that's starting. And I hope you got that. I got 10. I already have 10 volunteers. So we're halfway there for Row, which is pretty awesome.
Very good.
Yeah, it's a really fun. It's the easiest way you can volunteer. You do have to sit through a school lunch, but it's pretty fun. My husband was really excited it was back. He did 5th grade, which I was like, you're out of your mind. But he loved it. So it's really nice. So anyway, Rosalie, since we can hear you, why don't you tell us what's going on with you and Oxford Hills Food Pantry?
Well, we are getting more and more people, single people, who we're open weekly. So they are coming weekly. Some of them are coming weekly. They, I think they've spread the word around that we're open 3 times a week. And even Monday, we had a homeless person, which we don't get too many of those. But yes, we fill whatever their need is as much as we can. That's basically what's going on. I am going to post the bulletin you sent about Cafe Row and see if any of the volunteers are interested in doing that as well.
Rosemary,
we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question on my phone right now. I can't think of what it was. It'll come back to me. Sorry.
Okay.
That's where I'll lose it after 3 days. The person who's on here is admin. I don't think I know your name or recognize your face. Are you new?
I'm Helen Martin. Usually you see my husband Jim, but
Ah,
I'm on
that's why.
vacation, so I get to join.
Welcome, Helen, and
So
you guys,
from the Canton Baptist Food Pantry.
right, you guys just recently taken that over, right?
We took it over in February. That's
Right.
right. Yes. Yes.
Awesome. Well, tell us how's it going?
And I had the opportunity yesterday to
Helen, wait a second. It's hard to hear you.
Peru, Sacred Heart, and also to,
You're breaking up. If you turn off your video, your audio may come through better.
well, let's see.
Sorry. It's lovely to see your face though. But now it sounds okay. I don't know why. Could you all hear Cecilia and Jimmy? Could you hear her okay?
It was getting pretty garbled on my end.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, same.
But right now it's okay. We see half your
This is
face.
good?
It's working.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I can hear you now.
Well, I'm a little closer to the mic, maybe.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. So tell us how's it going? How's it going at Canton?
Well, so it was good that yesterday to meet Sacred Heart and also Andover Food Pantries and see how they're set up and what they're doing and give me some ideas. I think what we're doing is good, but I always want to improve.
That's awesome. I was wondering if you thought, like, if I had time later this month after my classes are over, if I went around to some pantries or when Amy goes around, if we videoed them, would that be helpful or is it much? I mean, it's not as good as you going and asking questions,
Right.
but seeing layouts and how things are shelved and displayed, would that be helpful?
I think so.
Okay, I'll talk to Amy
I
about
think
that because
so.
I know she's doing site visits now. And
Right.
maybe
She
I
visited
can,
us already.
so maybe I can do some too.
Yeah. What I saw yesterday was a lot of shelving and we don't have that. We only have it in the pantry for the extra storage. So we put tables up every week. So my mind's reeling.
Rosalie, you just got shelving at Oxford Hills Food Pantry. They said it came
Yes, we
from
did.
Hannaford. It came from Hannaford. Is that right?
It came from Hannaford. It was donated to us and it really is a help. We put it both in our storage room and in the pantry itself and makes it easier for the volunteers to
Yeah.
fill the order or
And so
so that's,
this was surplus that they were getting rid of?
no, they went and bought it and gave it to us.
Wow.
They were having, Oxford Hannaford was having an open house because they remodeled the store.
Mhm.
And the manager came to our annual meeting and asked us what we'd like to have. And so we told him and he gave it to us. It was lovely.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Ask and you shall
Congratulations.
receive. So, you know,
Yeah.
I believe in that process, you know, and even going to a place like Ocean State that sells shelving, and asking them if they would make a donation might help. But I would talk to Hannaford and see if they have any more shelves. They're really nice. They're vinyl
Wow.
coated. They're nice. I saw them today.
Oh, good. Okay.
That's how I knew you had shelves because I saw them.
But you didn't know they were free.
No, I didn't know. I knew
No.
they were Hannaford, but I didn't know they were free. So that's
Mhm.
really cool. So Helen, how's it going with, are you getting an influx of new participants?
Yes, the beginning of, when we started in February, we were getting 31, 32. Now we're getting 47. So yes, we have had an increase. And of course, we've had a decrease in the retail donations. So grateful that got some surplus from Andover of the TFAB, and that helps us greatly. It's quite a blessing. And the 2 articles that you posted, we've had both of those since I've been here. And speaking with Amy, the response is, well, we don't know their situation at home and don't deny them. So we haven't, you know.
Right. I think it's a hard thing
Oh.
for a lot of people to come to a pantry, and if they have the courage
You've
to
gone
come
blank
and ask.
on me.
Oh, I was saying, I think a lot of people have a hard time going to a pantry and feeling okay with that. So if they have the courage and wherewithal to do that, I do think that that's what we're here for. We are here to serve them. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speaking of TFAF, Jimmy,
Sorry.
got anything for Helen? Sounds like she could use some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think just this network of, if someone's got extra and they can't move it, just have someone else be like, hey, we're always looking for more. It's always good to make those connections because there are always those imbalances that can happen. So, and we're hoping to roll out like a different model for how we distribute our TFAP. I don't really want to talk about that yet because we're still like in the very initial stages, but kind of how we've been doing it isn't how we intend to do it forever. So we're hoping to just give more choice for people for the food banks. So that would, timing, I couldn't tell you, but I think they're starting some stuff in York and Androscoggin counties. But yeah, we'll have to see how that goes to iron out a lot of stuff with that, but we're excited.
Okay. Choice is good.
Yes, choices helps. We've been having a hard time getting cereal. We placed a lot of orders and a lot of them have been canceled. So I don't know if that's been kind of seen throughout everywhere, but I think it's more of a national issue. So we might not feel those effects for a little while at the pantries, but
Grains.
just as far as our end of it, seems like the grain is the prices went up and production it couldn't quite match it. So that's too bad. But we were able to score some extra fish, so that's exciting. We don't have it yet, but it'll start coming in a couple months. So here and there, we get these offerings from USDA and they kind of allocate a certain amount to us. We say, yes, we want that. And then we kind of ask, does anyone else not want theirs? Because we'll take extra. We were able to take Vermont's, which is always fun. I'm just shocked. Like, how are you guys not taking all of this? Like, frozen protein, it's so expensive and there's only so many options, but it goes decently well here. So we'll be getting in some whiting and some rockfish from the Pacific, but hey, like, those are like $100,000 trucks. So it's awesome to get those in. Anything that you can is always great. It's not quite hunting season, but just kind of keeping it in mind, we run the Hunters for Hungry program. So now is kind of the time for us to kind of get our meat processors registered. So we want to make sure we kind of get them on board, and then we're trying to connect, processors connected to pantries. So it's pretty common for people to, get a tag for a deer or something, and we take bear and moose as well, and then not want to keep all of that meat, so they can donate it to a processor. And the state will pay that processor to process it for it to go to a pantry. So
Oh, wow.
That cost is going to be covered as long as they're part of our blanket contract. So it's just a matter of getting everyone connected and keeping that process flowing.
How can we help get pantries in our area connected to this program?
I would say pantries are one end of it, as well as processors, because the pantries just more or less have to say yes. So, if pantries are interested, they can definitely reach out to our email and say that, hey, if you're not already have any communication with us with a survey we did, I think about a year ago, it'll probably make sense to, reach out again and say, hey, we could use some venison if it's around. And then the other question with that would be kind of coordinating to how to get it. So, you'd need to have a processor relatively close, and you'd probably have to pick it up from them because the processor's already, donating their time and whatnot. Like we'll pay for the service, but we can't like pay for, extra add-on fees or delivery and whatnot. So
Right.
it's kind of figuring out who's got the extra capacity and whatnot. So,
I wonder,
don't-
do you guys deliver, to Harrison Food Bank? And that could be a point of distribution for this area, because she also has a ton of freezers and she's got trucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to, I think that would make a lot of sense. I'll
Yeah,
make a
like
note
if
of that.
Sandy Sweat at Harrison Food Bank was like a connector with her refrigerated trucks and storage, and then local food pantries could come to her to pick up there, because she's happy to be that source for local food for the smaller pantries.
Certainly. Yeah. That's I think a really helpful thing, just to make sure everyone's connected and getting some. We haven't had like a huge amount of product being donated with this program, but it is fun every time we do. And, it's kind of all over the place as far as, the seasonality of it, because any time of year, if a game warden gets something that was poached, they could get it processed and bring it in, if, as long as the food safety stuff is still
Right.
not compromised, then it's.
I wonder if
there's
it's just not
different
well
levels to it.
known. I wonder if hunters may not know of this.
Definitely possible.
Right, to say, and a processor might not necessarily advertise that they'd be willing to do this. So maybe a little marketing to hunters and places like that, and through the game wardens, so that people are aware of it, because I bet there's more meat on those animals than people want. There's certainly parts that they don't want.
Definitely. And some hunters are just really all about it. They're really aggressive about maxing out all the tags they can get and figuring out ways to get more. And they're like, well, I don't actually need all that meat. So it just really depends on the situation.
Right.
But yeah.
I have a veterans organization, Operation Reboot Outdoors, and that's his focus, is to get people outside and in the woods, and it's part of their rehabilitation because of PTSD. It's helped him.
Certainly.
And they do a ton of hunting, and it makes me wonder, is there a surplus there? Now that you brought this up, so I'll mention to him about that.
Yeah, definitely. So it does start with the hunters, and then it involves, if there's demand from the pantries and the hunters are willing to, donate the meat, and if there's a processor that happens to be close by, that's really all it takes. So yes, the processor needs to get kind of registered with us, but that's a super simple process. So that tends to be the hang up, is just like, where are the processors? The number of processors throughout Maine seems to be kind of trending downwards. Yeah, and there may have been some issues with the state being late with paying bills and whatnot in the past. I think there was like this pretty terrible system that was used.
Really?
Yeah, as you can imagine. But I think it was a couple of years ago. And yeah, I think that kind of turned some people away from it. But hopefully we can bring him back in and just kind of promote the program. So fingers crossed on that. But yeah, I added a link in the chat for the main website.
Yeah, I see that. I'm gonna post that with the follow-up email, and I would encourage you to follow up with Sandy Sweat at Harrison, and Helen, you with your hunters, and if there's like a flyer on it or something, I would post that on the Healthy Oxford Hills website and get that out there. So that would be great. I mean, that sounds like a good program. It's kind of like the fishing one, there's a fisherman's program. So
yeah, certainly.
There's got to be
Yeah, so
processors out here. We're in Western Maine. This is where people are doing that hunting, right?
Right. And we sort of made like a template for invoices to kind of make things easier as far as processors getting paid back for their work. It's just, you get the whole gamut of, people's computer competencies or patience with it. So you can just imagine, So hopefully we can keep going, and yeah, just figure it out more or less.
Yeah, well, that's a great program to know about. I'm really glad you brought it up. That's pretty cool.
Definitely.
Anything else to TFAF?
Let's see. Yeah, I think that was the main stuff. Yeah, we're just still working through stuff. No, I'll just say no.
Okay, that's fine. And we'll look forward to those changes when you are ready to share them. Cecilia, would you like to share anything about what you're working on? What you're doing?
I've been thinking about that. So I don't have any updates. I guess I'm mostly interested in being a part of this group. I don't think I said this before, so let me say it now. Because the Rumford Hospital implementation plan for 2022 to 2025, we have a priority of social determinants of health that we're focusing on. We're also focusing on substance use disorder, but that's a little bit off topic. But within social determinants of health, we're focusing on adverse childhood experiences and food insecurity. And so when I started doing my research for this specific health priority within social determinants of health, Allie Burke had told me that there's this awesome group that meets regularly and that it would be good to stay in the loop of what's going on and how Rumford Hospital could potentially support efforts of local food pantries in that region, and specifically if anything comes up really around food access, because that's what I've learned, at least in the last couple of months, is that there's tons of food pantries, there's tons of food events that I'm now aware of, thanks to you and your calendar, Holly, of things that are going on. Food pantries have various days that they're open, various hours to accommodate for different schedules, making it easy for people to get to. The thing that makes it difficult is that we are in Western Maine and transportation will always be an issue in this area. And the people who pretty easily, debatably need the food most have difficulty accessing it. So I'm here in this meeting, chiming in periodically, listening to your beautiful brains talking about this issue that you all know really well, and keeping an eye out for, or an ear out rather, for how best Rumford Hospital can support these local efforts.
You know, there are, thank you, Cecilia, and I think that's great. I'm glad that you're on here and listening. Two things. There are some local pantries that do provide delivery for items. And I know during the heart of the pandemic, because we are still in it, so in the big throes of it, even the what's it called? They deliver garbage to the dump, but the pedal, there's a foot, I can't remember the name of it. We're delivering for the Oxford Hills Food Pantry. Spoke Folks was delivering. They would pick up from Rosalie's Pantry at Oxford Hills in Norway, and we're making deliveries within a mile or two of downtown Norway. I know Harrison Food Bank has a delivery service. I think Sweden will deliver some items, I think I've heard her say. So I think it would be, I know there are sometimes volunteer drivers for different things associated with the hospital. So if those could be utilized for transportation, I think that would be great. I think a lot of school pantries are utilized. Almost every school, I believe, in MS 8017 has a food pantry within the school, because that's a distribution point that is easier for a lot of families to get to.
Which distribution point? I'm sorry, you got really quiet.
17 at schools. At schools.
Oh, yes.
Because schools have food pantries. So supporting that local school pantry where they can distribute out to the kids either through a backpack program, or Paris Elementary used to have a pickup service after school. So when parents were coming to get their kids, they could go to the pantry then.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah, I've
trying
heard
to
that one
find
pop up a
different
little bit.
points of access. Older people, it's hard. If we could get transportation around here, and it would be really nice.
It would fix so many issues.
It would fix so many issues, and I wish Ben Tucker was on here, but he doesn't need me telling him. He already knows that.
Have you, I'm just gonna be, I don't know if this is devil's advocate or what this is, but have you guys heard that DoorDash is willing to kind of donate their services? There's some caveats to it. The big one being they want you to be pretty big. So they're willing to donate their services, but to make sure that you're big enough to have at least 200 routes a month. So it seems to only be for the urban areas that we can like kind of haven't be busy enough to kind of get them on board. But they're creeping in as far as like the national scene goes. So I don't know how this will look. Maybe like it'll start in the bigger areas and kind of come on in. But yeah, I know like the pantry in the Waterville area that's trying to get them going. So that's promising. So we'll see.
I saw a DoorDash sign in a restaurant in Norway, so somebody's delivering for them. But 200 is a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. That's why I didn't want to like get everyone excited about it because I heard that. I was like, oh no, how are we gonna? Yeah. So it's tough for most of Maine, but it's something.
Historically, whether through Rumford Hospital or Stevens Memorial, has there been any like volunteer drivers through the hospital that help deliver food to patients? You would mention that, but is that a thing
There
that has
is a
actually happened?
program that's like Food for Good or something, and it's the hospital has contracted the Progress Center, and they make meals for people that are like recently discharged from the hospital or having a hard time eating healthy, and they are actually preparing meals. So it's not a pantry delivery, but it's a
Okay.
meal service that Stevens uses with the Progress Center to get people on their feet. And, you know, Stevens has a new food pantry, or now it's been up for a year. So, and I know
They're
Frank.
just on top of it.
Huh?
They're just on top of it.
Carl Costanzi raises his hand and things happen. Unfortunately, he has not been able to find a replacement for someone to manage the food pantry at the hospital, and he's still gotta do it. So that kind of sucks. So anyway, well, I don't have anything else to share or talk about, unless you guys do. I'm happy to stay on, but I'm happy to give you the rest of your afternoon too.
I would like to mention that because of 3 school pantries that we help, where the fiscal responsibilities for them have almost been shut down. Paris Elementary is hoping to be able to start up this coming fall, but they have to get someone to run it. The person who ran it before has changed jobs, and so she's no longer there. S. Gray School is up and running and is going to be going this fall. The Guy Rose School, I'm not sure whether it's going to be up and running this fall or not. I'm hoping that it will be.
Right.
But
I
I'm
know
looking-
Guy Rose is run by the school nurse. Isn't
Yeah,
that
she
correct?
runs, the
She
school
runs.
nurse runs. And I think that now that COVID is eased up a little bit, it'll be easier for them to just do the job, just run the pantry and get the food out.
I think you're right.
But
Because we're allowed to do cafe club, they're letting people come into the school this year and volunteers and stuff, so.
Okay, so that probably will ease up at the pantries as long as Paris Elementary can come up with someone to run it.
Yeah, sustainability is hard. I don't know. I don't see anybody raising their hands here. So that would be a great PTO project for a local PTO to work on, I would say. As you know, sometimes it takes a committee to run it, and that works too. So anybody, anything else? Send me any changes for the calendar. I'm gonna put that out. I cannot believe we're doing a September calendar already. And
Crazy.
back to school and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So, Jimmy, I'm gonna post that Hunters for Hungry, and I'm gonna go to the website first, see if I can find anything like a flyer or something to add to it. So,
Yeah, there might be some FAQ stuff on there too that could be helpful for people to just kind of think through it.
yeah, and who knows, they may know some hunters out there. So thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it. I thought this was a great discussion with just the 5 of us. Sometimes that works out better when there's a small group. So thank you for being here, Helen. It's great to see your pretty smile. We like your husband, but it's nice to see you too. We'll take whoever we
I
can get.
scared them all away.
Okay,
No, you're fine. You didn't
thank you.
It's August.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.